What's up, guys? I know it's been like a week since we have posted it, and I apologize. I know a lot of you are anxiously waiting to see the FRS fire up here, and we were just about ready to do that. So she's going to be running in today's video. But about a week ago, Wyatt ended up getting sick, and then I was waiting for a couple more things to come in, and then shortly after, I ended up getting sick. So we took some time off. I apologize, like I said, but some of you guys don't know how to wait more than 3 days without seeing a video. Then I start seeing the comments, what happened to you guys? What's going on? You guys got lazy? No, I'm sorry. We just got sick. And we took some time off. We are starting right where we left off from the last video in the BRZ. I don't want you guys to think that we've been working away the last week and we are just now getting to where we are. We have literally done nothing for a week and we're just now starting to feel a little better, enough to get this thing back up and running again. Wyatt's actually still not feeling too good, but I want to come out here and get this thing fired up for you guys. So we're going to go back about a week ago to where we were just about to get the intake manifold and stuff on, and then we will rendezvous to now, and we are almost ready to plug some things in and fire it up. So yeah, thanks for understanding. What's up, guys? We are getting some more work done on the K-Swapped FRS. In the last video, we got the engine and transmission kind of mounted up into this thing. We rested the headers and intake manifold on, but now we are actually getting all of the engine accessories on this thing, getting the wiring harness plumbed, and trying to get as close as we can to getting this thing to fire up. So real quick, before we throw the intake manifold on, we're just about ready to do that. I wanted to show you guys kind of all this stuff underneath. So we got the alternator on and a AC compressor. That is a first for us, boys. This morning I went to a used auto parts place and picked up a 06 TSX AC compressor and alternator. I guess that's the year we need to have the correct plug. And sure enough, the AC compressor had the right plug that went with the K-Power kit, and then we got our alternator on there as well. If you look back over here, we have our thermostat housing. We have the K-tuned 360-degree swivel billet piece right there for our lower radiator line. We are going to be reusing the OEM FRS radiator right here. And then we just made a plug, actually Wyatt got this knocked out, for this heater hose that used to go right here that's not needed. They do sell a piece that can go right here, but we just made one ourselves. So that guy is all plugged up. And then this heater hose right here goes to the factory heater core. There's two ports coming out of the firewall there. One goes to that one, and then the other will go to our intake manifold. So we will have a working heater core. And then you can see we also have a starter on here. This is our starter from Bryce. This is the upgraded starter. This thing cranks at 100 more RPM than a factory one. They're really nice. We have one on the MR2 and on the Routacy, and they have our Boosted Boys logo engraved on the side there of the billet flange. So these starters are awesome. They sent us 5 of those from the United Kingdom, and they work great. We've had 0 issues with them. If you look right here, we got the factory plug from the FRS chassis. This side right here is OEM, and then this side is from the K-Power Industries kit. I really like how they did the engine harness. It literally just plugs in to the factory chassis harness right there. And then we have one section of wire that comes off right here, and then this goes to the alternator map sensor. We are reusing the drive-by wire that comes on a BRZ throttle body. So actually, if you look at the intake manifold over here, we also had to go get a BRZ or FRS throttle body that has a drive-by wire because the kit utilizes that. So she will be on a drive-by wire, which is really cool. So that is where that end of the harness goes, and then the other end just goes back up here behind the head, and then that goes to all of our coils, our VTEC pressure sensor, and then we also have a oil pressure sensor right there. And the harness is really straightforward and simple. It all just comes out of that plug right there, utilizing all of the factory stuff. So really like how they did that, and here pretty soon we'll be able to get our ECU into this thing, which you guys will see what we got for that, which I'm really excited about. The way they set this up just made it really simple and straightforward. But yeah, we're making a whole bunch of progress right now. Wyatt's working on getting the battery mount over there. We have to get that positive post on there to kind of relocate the alternator power wire. That'll go to that guy. Oh, and then the biggest thing that I didn't mention is if you look right here, boys, up and around the back of the firewall, we have our AC lines. So the AC lines go to that factory port right there. These are all included in the K-Power kit, and they're routed nice and out of the way. They go down through here. We obviously got them going to the AC compressor, and then the lines come out here to the factory condenser. So we will have working AC in the FRS, which I'm so excited about. But yeah, we are making a whole bunch of progress, boys, and it shouldn't be too long before we are able to fire this thing up for the first time. All right, guys, so now we're all caught up. It's been a week since we have worked on the car. I'm still a little sick. As you can see, we got the intake manifold back on this thing. The fuel system is done and ready to go. We got the belt ran. So I actually had to get a couple components from K-Tune. This is a factory idler pulley right here. I thought the one I had would work, but the JDM one is different. So I got this from K-Tuned along with the aftermarket EP3 style idler pulley right here, since we're not running a power steering pump that would go right here from factory. So got rid of that, got both of these components from K-Tuned. Huge shout out to them because they got me that stuff really fast. So we were able to get the belt on, everything is routed and ready to go. Our wiring harness is on and good to go. And then we did have to make some changes to the factory fuel system to make it work with the K-Series here. So these are just the stock injectors that came with our K-Series here. The harness from K-Power was already wired for them. But the FA20, which is the engine that comes in this from factory, uses 8 injectors, and it has 2 separate fuel feed rails with 2 sets of 4 injectors, I believe. So with the K20, we only have, or K24, we only have 1 set of injectors with 1 fuel rail. So one of the feed lines is down here. That guy gets taken off back there and plugged up, which we already did a week ago. Wyatt took care of this. And then we're only using one of the feed lines from the tank. So this guy literally just hose clamps on to that line right there, and then it goes right here, and then it just has a quick connect fitting that goes onto our fuel rail, and the fuel system's done and ready to go. Super simple and straightforward. The OEM fuel pump in this car actually has a ECU that controls it. There's a separate little fuel pump ECU for BRZs, I guess, and with this swap, you don't need that fuel pump ECU. So the K-Power Industries kit actually comes with a separate plug and instructions on how to bypass that ECU and rewire it. So the ECU or the fuel pump is just triggered off of a signal wire from the computer, just how it would be like traditionally on any one of your builds. So we got all that done. ECU is bypassed for the fuel pump, and the fuel system's all rigged up and ready to go. And that's about it. So the harness is on there. We also picked up a battery for this thing. So the battery's ready to go. We also had to get a OEM battery cable. This car was missing it when I got it, so we found that out later on. So these wires right here were just dangling. This power wire that goes to the starter we had to get off eBay. This whole harness right here came off of eBay. It's just an OEM one. It was easier for us just to track down an OEM harness than to make it ourselves, because this one has some spots where other wires already go. It has the chassis harness ground built into it. So we just got that, and she's all good to go. Other than that, we just need the coolant lines, and then it's done. But we got our ECU in, and we're ready to start plugging some stuff up inside the car, and she should fire up today. So yeah, let's go ahead and show you guys what we got. All right, guys, if you look inside the BRZ here, I tore the crap out of this thing. Got the glove box out of the way to get to the factory ECU. Turns out this plastic piece that sits behind the glove box, it's all one piece and attached almost all the way to the steering column there. And then there's all this climate control stuff that I just ended up leaving plugged in because I didn't want to start tearing too into it. I was able to get this out of the way enough to get the factory ECU pulled out of this thing. And here she is. So this is the OEM ECU out of the FRS. And what we get to do with this guy is take it apart, because if you look what we got out here, we got a couple components for the K-Swapped BRZ here. So I guess let's just get right into it. So these 2 boxes right here are from Haltech. We are running a Haltech 1500 Elite ECU on the K-Swapped BRZ. And the reason we're doing this is not only is Haltech a really awesome ECU, but the K-Power Industries kit is completely built around the Haltech 1500. So what is really cool about this kit is you saw how simple the engine harness was. This is the rest of the harness. So we got an ECU in here, we got a wideband kit in this box, and then we got this harness right here, and we got this little guy right here. So if you take a closer look, this box and this guy are about the same size, because what you actually do is you take the factory ECU out of this black plastic here, you gut this guy out, and you replace it with this piece right here from K-Power Industries. They make this themselves. This will actually go in place of the factory ECU, and this is basically just a fancy looking, OEM style looking jumper box. So you have to cut some plastic out of the way back here. This guy will go inside of there. Instead of this being an ECU inside of here, you will plug one end of this into the factory harness of the car. So there's 4 plugs here that went to the factory ECU. You'll plug that guy in, and then on this side, these actually plug into the harness that goes to our Haltech 1500 Elite ECU. So I'll show you guys how simple this thing is. So here's our computer. Check her out. Haltech Elite 1500, very nice unit. And this will literally plug in like so. These guys will plug in right there. This will plug into the car. And then we have this guy right here for the CAN communication. And just like that, after we plug this into the car, in theory, we should be able to power this thing on, boot up a tune into the Haltech here, and it should just start up and run perfectly because K-Power Industries has already configured all of their settings to work with this exact ECU, and that goes for the gauges, to work on the factory key, everything. The AC button will work, all of it will work through the Haltech Elite 1500 ECU. So they've already spent the time to set up a tune and program it all to just work. So that is why this is the most complete plug and play kit you can get, and it just makes it super straightforward and easy. You just have to tuck this guy kind of out of the way up under the glove box. They have a spot that's really good for this guy to tuck it out of the way. But yeah, so far the process has been super easy. So we're gonna go ahead and plug in our Haltech computer here. I'm gonna wait on gutting this box out until we confirm that the car actually runs. But we're gonna go ahead and plug in this adapter right here, plug in our computer, and boot up a tune into this thing and see if this thing fires up. All right, so I just downloaded the Haltech software, got it on my laptop here, and we're plugged into the Elite 1500. Everything's plugged in. It should be good to connect to the computer. And if you order this ultimate kit from K-Power Industries, along with the Haltech ECU, they actually send you a flash drive with the tune on it. There's a tune for a version with a push to start button. Our Scion FRS here still uses the normal key to start. So there's two separate tunes, depending on which car you have. So he sent me both files. We should be able to just plug it in. From what I'm told, once we boot up the tune, this thing should just fire right up. It should be that straightforward and simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and power up the car. Make sure everything connects all right. Fuel pump came on, that's a good sign. Oh, we're connecting. So we're connected to the computer here. I'm gonna go ahead and load in the tune he sent. So K24A2 ignition by key. Hopefully it's that easy, boys. Just plug it in and we're good to go. Writing all settings. And I think that's it. Our battery voltage is reading. Numbers are moving, so that's a good sign. We're definitely connected to the computer. Oh, here's a good way to check. Go up there. Actually, here, I'm gonna take this. You're gonna go in there and push my gas pedal for me. So this thing's on a drive-by wire. If everything's connected and working, we should have a throttle blade moving. I think we need to calibrate this actually before we start it. But it looks like it's actually set up pretty good. And just go ahead and hit the gas pedal. Oh yeah, check that out. Is that full throttle? Just go full throttle. I don't even know if that thing needs calibrated. Shut it off. I mean, she shuts. Definitely wouldn't hurt to calibrate it, but that looks like it's working to me. So the drive-by wire is working. The fuel pump's still running. I'm not sure why. I don't know if the fuel pump's just always on with this tune-up. But I think we're good to try to start it. So I think everything's good to go. I got the bumper thrown back on there just because it looks nice. And I'm gonna go ahead and have the girlfriend fire it up and see if she wants to start. I believe everything should be good to go. The fuel pump's still running. Everything looks all right up here. I guess go ahead and give it a crank. Just start it. Oh, she fired right up, baby. Hell yeah. Let's go, dude. That was easy. It's idling so good. Give it a little rev. Rev it a little bit. Hell yeah, boys. She fired right up. Like nothing. It's idling so good. Yeah, that's good. You can kill it. Is it not shutting off? Can you take the key out? What happened? Oh, it's not shutting off. Well, I guess she's not turning off. What do I do here? What do I do? It has no coolant. It has no coolant. I need to figure this out. Maybe I can take the ground off. Oh, there she goes. Did it just shut off on its own?
Yeah.
Huh, maybe that's something programmed into the computer. That was weird, huh? Well, she runs, boys. So I just figured out why the car doesn't shut off after like 30 seconds. It's kind of funny. So I was messaging my friend Kenny. He works over at Humble Performance. If you guys remember back when we met up with those guys, he's very familiar with the Haltech Elite 1500 ECUs. They do a lot of tuning on them over there. And I just messaged him. I was like, the car does shut off, but it seems like it takes 30 seconds. And I didn't know if there was something in the tune that could cause that. And then I got to thinking right after I sent him that message, I was like, that doesn't really make sense because normally when you kill the power at the key, it kills the power to the computer. So I'm like, it has to be something like through the chassis maybe. And then it occurred to me right in that moment that I remembered seeing a turbo timer on this car when I picked it up. And sure enough, I literally messaged Kenny. I said, the car does shut off, but it takes like 30 seconds. And I said, I don't know if that would be in the tuner, if it's the chassis. And then sure enough, I go in here and power this thing on and look at the turbo timer. And look what she's set to. She's set to 30 seconds on the dot. So when I go to take the key out, the pump's running. The pump is still running, but then it starts counting down. 25, 24, 23, pump's still going. So that's all it was. So I just got to figure out how to set that turbo timer to 0 and everything will be good to go. Freaking kids and their Subarus, bro. I'm surprised this thing didn't come with a vape pen. So I'm not sure how to change it from 30 just yet. I'll have to look it up to change that exact number, but I found if I hold this over, it goes to off. And then when I turn the key off, everything shuts off with it. So there we go. Just turned her off, and I believe if we start it, actually let's check all the gauges real quick. Oh, check that out, guys. We got RPM working. Fuel level is working. The coolant, I'm not sure if it's working yet. Obviously it's cold, mile an hour. I'll have to check later once we drive the car. But RPM is working. We do have some lights on that we'll have to address as we go, but she fires right up. We do have a lot of lights on the dash currently on that we will have to address. The check engine light was just on, but I cleared it for now on the computer, but it's still showing me the codes. So it says wideband and cruise control, which I don't have the wideband plugged in right now anyways, and the cruise control isn't hooked up on this thing. I don't even think it came with cruise control in this car. I think they ripped it out, so that is understandable. I'm sure we can fix those easily. Real quick, I got oil pressure pulled up. Let's see if we got good oil pressure, because it does have a sensor. Oh yeah, great oil pressure. Check engine light came back on there. So yeah, we do have some things that we're gonna have to tidy up on her, but she runs, boys. Normally I'm way more pumped up on a first start video, but still feeling a little under the weather, so sorry if the enthusiasm wasn't all there. Wyatt's freaking inside dying, but he's recovering, feeling a little better. We don't have COVID or anything, but hopefully here in the next couple days we're feeling 100% again, and we'll be ready to take this thing for its first test drive after we button up a couple more things. But as you saw, she fired right up with 0 issues. I think the last time we had a car start up this easily was when we did Garza's Miata, and that was also on a K-Power Industries kit. So they know what they're doing. The Haltech Elite ECU packaged with their whole kit just works great. I really love how they just have it all wired and ready to go. Couldn't be any easier, as you saw. Plugged it in, fired right up. So she's good to go there. Still want to try to get a video out for you guys though. My goal is to get the car running today. So that is where we are at. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.